Hello everyone, welcome to scikonnect. Today we have a special guest with us, Dr. Purnati, who recently won Rowland Fellowship. So she is one of the recipients from India, and as far as I understand, she is the first from India who got this fellowship. So let's welcome Purnati.
Hello, everyone.
So before we start, will you introduce yourself to the audience?
You kind of did, but I will do. So, I am Purnati, and I just finished my PhD like a year back, and I like mechanobiology and trying to understand biology from a physical or a mechanical perspective. And recently, I have been kind of brewing on this idea that uh, when life evolved, the physical world was kind of already existing around it. So any biological entity that emerged must also follow those physical rules. So I want to see, like, for my science, I want to understand how biology interacts with the physical world and how the physical world influences evolution of biology and its behavior. So yeah, so I have just joined Roland last year, December 2024. My lab is getting set up. It should be like fully running in maybe 1 or 2 months. And yeah, I'm excited to do my science.
That's great. And it's good to know that you are finally connecting with nature and trying to find answers to, I think, unresolved mysteries by getting insights from nature.
Yeah.
So, so let's start with what is this fellowship about and what excited you to actually apply for this fellowship?
Yeah, I think that is the first question people generally ask, and I'm very happy to answer that. Uh, Roland Fellowship is kind of like a vision of this person called Edwin H. Land. He established the Roland Fellowship and Endowment, and from his own time, he kind of had this idea that curiosity-driven science should be supported in any form financially and guidance and everything. And so we established this fellowship for young researchers who have just about to finish their PhD or have just finished their PhD to have their own team. So you apply for this fellowship. If you get this fellowship immediately after your PhD, you can start your own lab. You can hire a couple of postdocs. You can hire undergrads, and if you have some good idea, you can start executing it in 5 year timeline. So, and that is what kind of excited me a lot since during my PhD, I kind of realized I do want to do my own science, and I feel like I have something that makes me feel and realize that maybe I can do it on my own also. And my training during PhD has been fantastic, and I feel confident that maybe I can do stuff independently on my own. And I was waiting to do that. I thought the most typical way is to go for a postdoc and then apply for faculty positions. But then I came across Rowland Fellowship where they were pretty straightforward. Like if you want to, if you have an idea, if you can execute it well, then just come after PhD, join us, and we will take care of the rest. So yeah, that's what fascinated me about the fellowship.
I think the most important thing which is fascinating is that you can now directly start as a faculty. You just skipped almost 5 years of postdoc. So
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
yeah, so now that's really great. So uh, based on previous winners of this fellowship, I could see that you are the first from India who got this
Yes.
fellowship.
Yeah.
So congratulations for that.
Thank you.
It's proud moment, but I think it might be, I'll say you are now torch bearer for India. So people will definitely follow your steps. So it might be challenging for you as well that you have to get started the moment you reach there. So how you feel about it?
Oh, I understand the part about being the torch bearer for India because me being here does give an appearance that Indian people are doing good science. They have the talent, they have the thought, and they can do on a global scale. Their talents and their efforts are matching with the rest of the world. So yeah, I feel like that is the case. But starting here and joining and starting my own lab immediately, there is not lot of pressure I feel. First, because when I started my PhD in Tamal Das's lab, the lab was kind of getting set up and a lot of it was taken care of one of my seniors. But still, I could experience a little bit of setting up a lab. So I had a feeling like, how to go about setting up your own lab. And Roland here, people here are very supportive. They know we are, everyone, all of us are PhD students trying to set up a lab. So they support in any way it is required for the person. So they had a practical timeline that in the first few months it will be slow. Like, do not expect that you're going to start doing fantastic experiments immediately, the second week you join, but try to take it at a slow pace where you can manage your establishing your lab part and thinking about science and not trying to get frustrated with it. The speed is not up to what you had expected. So that kind of guidance and support is there already there in Roland. So no, I don't think I feel much pressure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great to know, and it's good to know that you have a support system already in place, and
Yeah.
that will definitely help you a lot. So can you go us through the whole application process? So when you actually get started, and what's the ideal time people should start looking for application so that they have like more chances of success?
Yeah, I can talk about that. So I will just a disclaimer. The application process has changed a little bit when I had applied and the next year. So slight different, but it's still this more or less the same process. I think I was actually not aware of this role in fellowship when I was doing my PhD. I found it in a email circulation Tamal had forwarded us, and that was let's say 4 or 5 months in advance to the date of submission. So for fellowships like this, which are so competitive, I think it does demand a good effort and time. Like, I think I invested about 3 or 4 months coming up with the proposal and writing it in a way where I could communicate what very clearly what I want to do and how to execute that. And so, yeah, so in the application process, you have to propose a grant, sorry, propose some idea that you can execute and how to execute it in 5 years. And it also involves three or four recommendation letters, and that's the first step. So after you submit all these documents, I think they go through all that and they select 10 people for interview out of all the applicants that year. And from the 10 people, they come for an in-person interview, although mine was over Zoom because of visa issues. But that also went smoothly. So out of the 10 people, if they like, they will hire up to 3 people, if not 1 or 2 people for that year. So they don't have a strict rule to hire 3 every year. If they like, they can go up to 3. If not, 1 or 2 is fine. So in the research proposal part, like, I felt like I could be wrong. What I think got me this fellowship was the idea has to be curiosity driven very much. It should somehow show in your writing or in your application process that you are really, really curious about this idea so much that you have thought about if you get a chance, how would you do this, execute this idea. You have thought about what's the first experiment you will do. You would have an expectation of what are the possible results and what you can do after those results. So that kind of thinking and motivation should be visible in your application. And I think good recommendation letters also help, like people who have known how you work and how you think about science, how passionate you are about science. It shows up in the letters and it helps. And in the when I was selected for the interview round, so they had a structure that you prepare your presentation in a way where you 30-minute presentation, you focus 10 minutes on your old work and 20 minutes on your future proposal. So I think it is important to stick to that timeline, because I feel like during my turn, a lot of people focused on their old work a lot more. I think what they are trying to see is how you are going to do in next 5 years. Like, can you think in terms of, 5-year timeline? So you might have done a lot of good work in your past, but can you maintain the same or better, be better in next 5 years? So my presentation was structured according to that: 10 minutes for my old PhD work and 20 minutes for my future proposal. Yeah.
Thanks a lot for sharing the whole application process and I think key points which people should keep in mind. Uh, what do you think the role of a mentor, maybe in this case, PhD guide, how helpful are they during the application process?
I think for me it was extremely helpful. So when the applications, like when I saw the email for Roland and the process of application, so it was very clear that you're going to set up a lab after PhD. So it's important to ask, do you feel like you can run a team of 3-4 people and take care of the science and take care of the administrative part of running a lab? So that part for me, I was confident, because I was with my guide, is pretty open about running the lab part. Like, let's say we need to order some instrument, so we can discuss. So we it's an open discussion. Or these are the suitable instruments that match our experiments, and these are the price comparisons. So we will pick this one. So that kind of training kind of has happened throughout my PhD, and placing order, hiring students, or communicating your science, or guiding your project based on what you find, and not necessarily sticking to the original plan. So that kind of training during PhD happens to a lot of people, and it happened with me. My guide was extremely helpful, and the background training part. And for the application part, yes, he did have a look at my presentation and my proposal, and suggested some changes that would help communicate my idea better and make it more impactful. Yeah. So I think it is important to have that kind of positive mentorship for this kind of fellowship, and in general doing science when you are starting to branch out as an independent researcher.
Yeah, and you sort of touched upon importance of learning lab management uh,
Yeah, yeah,
along with the research which we do during PhD. So
yeah.
can you elaborate more on plan or like research plan which you'll be executing in, say, next 2 years or so?
Oh, next 2 years. Okay. Uh, so during my PhD, I worked with collective cell systems. So we worked with epithelial collectives, either in vitro in cell culture, or mouse organ system like intestine. And I was fascinated with how organelles can affect a higher level behavior at tissue or organ level. So I was working with Golgi in collective cell migration and wound healing. And from that, I realized I am more into looking at how, let's say, something really small in a cell can affect the whole behavior of the tissue we are looking at. So for my proposal in Roland, I'm working with nuclear positioning in pseudostratified epithelium. So pseudostratified epithelium is one type of epithelium where the whole tissue is one layer of cell, but the nuclei are present in different plane in different cells. So it's not all nuclei at the bottom of the cell, but they are at random heights. So, and that pseudostratified architecture is what I am fascinated with. I wonder how a mechanism like that could have evolved, and when do the cells or the tissue take a call to shift from a simple epithelium to a pseudostratified epithelium. And does it have some mechanical aspect that can affect the tissue behavior? So I'm trying to look at nuclear positioning changes during when the pseudostratified epithelium is established. So the first 2 years at this point for me it looks like I'm going to characterize the mechanical environment of pseudostratified tissues, either with, let's say, mouse retinal organoids or Drosophila imaginal discs. I'm going to image all their nuclei and try to infer some mechanical environment based on the nuclear positioning in the tissue. And once we identify that, I will try to perturb it with some techniques we are trying to come up with and see how perturbing the nuclear position in tissue can affect the global tissue level behavior. So it's an intracellular organelle controlling your tissue behavior. So from micron scale to, let's say, little higher scale, maybe centimeters or millimeters. Yeah.
That sounds a great plan, and looks like you are like on to a fascinating problem, and you'll find some innovative things out of this work.
It's the idea, yeah.
Yeah, like every research has chances of success and failure. Do you think it's good idea to have a plan B when you do research on such ideas?
It is nice to have plan B, but I think the way I think about evolution of your project, let's say we start with a hypothesis and I have this expectation that maybe this is what we will find. And the kind of future directions are based on that expectation. If this is met, we will do this next. So for me, plan B is not like asking a different question or some other aspect about the same system. For me, plan B is like when you do your first experiment to test your hypothesis, you will probably find more than one interesting aspect. So in your plan A, you would have picked something, but all the other interesting aspects that you probably won't follow are my plan Bs because they're still interesting, but I was more interested in looking, let's say, point A. But if point A doesn't go anywhere, I will pick up other interesting stuff in the order, in that order, which is more interesting to me. So the plan B, C, D are basically other interesting stuff, but with my own choice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think I plan for having an alternate question in mind. My all my effort is gone into the doing the first experiment that would give me an idea and looking at the results of that experiment and see what are all the interesting stuff we can find about that system and that question. From there, we make a call. Yeah.
That's good planning and good philosophy to go about research. So most of the time, like we think plan B is something completely different, but we should be open to observations and keep all options open.
Yeah, I think if you so that is one thing I really believe in that when we are doing science and we find our results, like you should have some practical expectation, but you should always let your results speak to you what they have rather than you seeing only what you want to see. Because if you don't let your results speak to you without any bias, you will miss out a lot of interesting stuff. So whenever I look at my results, I look at it like what all I can see other than what I want. So I think keeping an open mind like that is very useful because you might just find something more interesting than your plan A. So your plan A will change into plan A plus or something. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's right. So coming back to fellowship. So since we discussed that during research, things can go this way or that way. So do you think in this fellowship there is flexibility in case you want to learn some new technique or you want to have collaboration with people who are working on those techniques or
Yeah. So I think that's one of the more one of the among many things. This is one of the important things enrolled in the institute and in the environment. So they understand the importance of how science can go, like it can deter from your original plan, and how there is still possibility to find interesting and important stuff in your altered plan. And they encourage a lot of collaboration as much as you can within the same building, within the same city, or same place, or international one. So, and you are allowed to do all the science you want to do, and there is no rigid structure that you have to follow exactly the sentences you wrote in your proposal. So your science can evolve, and you should be evolving with it. If you need collaborations and you need help from us, we will help you find collaborators. And if you need lab space, if you need instruments, we will help you get that. So you come here with your ideas, we will help you execute that. So right now, one of the things I have to do is find kind of mentors for this 5-year period, and they are encouraging me. Like they have some suggestions. I came up with some suggestions. They came up with some suggestions for who could be the right mentor for the kind of science I'm planning to do, and they are very supportive about. You should just go travel and meet them in person and talk to them about your work and see what you can learn from them and how to build a strong community and interaction. So yeah, I think that way, like I think Roland is fantastic because you will get all the support you need in form of guidance, financial support, and space and whatever you can think of.
That's great. So the another important aspect that since you are starting a new lab, now you will recruit people who will work on bench along with you. What criteria you'll have in your mind when you will recruit new people?
That's a it's not a straightforward answer. I don't know what other people do, but have recruited, let's say, 2 people in my lab, undergrads. And during the interview, I kind of interviewed, let's say, 7, 8 people for both these positions. And I kind of was drawn to people who can think, like, they are not afraid to think beyond what they know. So at some point, you will run out of your information data in your mind. Eventually, you have to make logical connection between what you already know and take a very well-informed guess. So I think I like people who can think right on the spot, like they're not afraid to, be wrong, but as long as you can think next step, next step, next step. It doesn't have to be wrong, it doesn't have to be right, it's just how you are thinking. So if it matches with, let's say, this way I think, let's say, how do I put it? So we know, let's say hypothetically something is happening, what could be the next few steps? It could be 5 different things. I could be coming up with two, somebody else could be coming up with three, all of them put together make some sense. So I kind of look for that kind of interaction, and if it fits well, I think I hire those people. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good to know. Maybe people who listen and if they want to join your lab, they have now clear idea of what they
Yeah.
should be doing to get.
Yeah, I'm interested in how you think. Yeah.
Since we mentioned that you are first person from India who got this fellowship, so maybe now this year or next year, many more people will get courage to apply. What you
Yeah,
will
yeah.
advise them that could help them to be successful for this fellowship?
Yeah, I think this is an important question, and I feel like this kind of communication with in science media in India is very important. I want to do that more often. When I was applying, I was definitely scared by the chances of how many people will get that fellowship. It was really, really low. I was scared by that number, but uh, I realized I just need the courage to be not scared of that number. Go ahead and apply with your idea nonetheless. So one of my senior, Shilpa from Tamal's lab, she was my PhD senior. She got a Schmidt fellowship the year before, and she suggested like you just apply for it. It doesn't matter you get or not. It's worth trying. Like if you think your idea is good, if you can write the proposal the right way they are asking, you just go ahead and apply. You don't know, and we are as talented as anyone else in the world. You just have to try. So, and that's what I did when I was applying. I didn't keep any expectation that I will get it or not get it. But what I realized that when I'm applying, I'll give in my best. Like I'm applying to get it. Doesn't matter if I get it or not, but my proposal, my application should have that motivation feeling that I want this. So although scary, the numbers are scary, but I was like, it's worth trying. If you don't try, we're 100% not getting it. If we try, there are some chances we might get it. So I would always recommend people to just go ahead and apply. Doesn't matter. If you don't get it, you will learn something how to improve your proposal in the next round. If you get it, amazing. So yeah,
So I think that's key message that if you don't apply, there are 100% chance that you don't get
you
it.
are not getting it. Yeah,
So now it's, I think, few months since you have joined.
1.5 months. Yeah.
Yeah, so how you feel the whole setup, environment, and Boston?
Oh, Boston is amazing, and I'm near the Howard campus, so I come across like I don't interact with people much, but I do overhear students randomly talking about their science, and it's pretty cool to hear. Like you just overhear somebody like talking about randomly. Oh, did you read that? Did you hear about that experiment? Or did you hear about this paper? I think I like that kind of environment. I feel it's conducive for me. It makes me excited. Oh, I'm in a good place to do science, and there, I just recently gave a talk. So Rowland Institute is now shifted to the main Howard campus, and we are in a bigger laboratory building, the 3, 4 floors. And we have this super group meetings where people have to present to many different labs. And I talked about my work. And I think mechanobiology and looking at biological systems from a mechanical perspective is little new. Not many people are working here, and all of them are super fascinated by this perspective and happy to interact with me after the talk. And I went ahead and attended a couple of other lab meetings, and so that's what you get to do if you in a place where so much excitement about science. You go attend their lab meetings, you interact with them, you can borrow some of their ideas, they can listen to you, and yeah, I really like that part. Yeah,
Yeah,
and setting up lab, I'm just ordering a lot of stuff to slowly build a functional lab. So maybe end of February or March it should be fully ready. But yeah,
yeah, that's good. I think a lot of exciting science
yeah, I
happens
think
Boston and Harvard. So, and Boston is,
yeah,
I think, one of the key biotech hubs. So
yeah.
many spin-outs. I think even like from old Rowland fellows, few actually started their own
The
companies.
own, yeah, exactly.
So do you think you might opt for something like that, or you will be sticking to
Oh, I'm a hardcore academic person at heart. I like being in lab. I like sitting on a microscope and looking at my images. So I don't think I'm going to explore any startup or something like that. But there are some ideas which I'm willing to work with other startup companies to you take initiative to follow that up. But I will be in the lab.
that's good. So maybe one last question before we wrap up. So will you be able to mentor other people who might be applying from India? I know that it's very difficult along with like setting up lab, looking at lab management and work, but if just in case some people want to apply and need some guidance.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm very happy to do that. I think I have received a lot of guidance from other people in the field and seniors and PhD advisors and people. So I think I have received so much support, and I am going to do that for everyone who comes after me. So I'm very happy to advise or mentor if people are trying to apply for Roland or in general about academic career and science. So I don't know much about the job prospects beyond lab, but I can connect you with people, connect whoever is interested with people who are actually in non-academic job perspectives and all that. But yeah, I'm very happy to mentor. Yeah.
I think thanks a lot. I think you are already on a path where you'll do fascinating science. And thanks a lot for your time and sharing insights about this fellowship. And I'm sure people who listen to it will get courage to finally press the submit button. And
Yes, please go ahead. All the best. You have everything you need. Just go ahead and submit.
yeah, thanks. Thanks a lot. And I think wish you best of luck for your research, and we'll see exciting papers coming out of your lab soon.
Yeah, let's hope. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.